Siyabonga, singahlala phansi. Sanibonani. Ninjani nisaphila? Awu siyabonga, siyaphila nathi. Baba Ndunankulu wesifundazwe saKwaZulu-Natal ubaba uSenzo Mchunu. Minister we Arts and Culture ubaba uNyambose. Ubaba umphathiswa wezokulungiswa the Justice Baba Masuta nomama we Basic Education umama uAngel Mutsecha. Bonke minister bakhona namhlanje la abaqhamuka kuhulumeni kazwelonke, o deputy minister abaphuma kuzwelonke abakhona lapha namhlanje, ubaba uKhabazela owake waba undunankulu ngaphambili ezweni esifundazweni saKwaZulu-Natal, mama ophethe uhlelo umama uSabhidla Saphetha, kanye nabo bonke o-MEC abakhona lapha, amalungu ePhalamende kuzwelonke kanye namalungu ePhalamende namaphalamende esifundazwe, ubaba usobaba okuyena ophethe iTheku, imeya yaseThekwini, ubaba uZwide uJames Nxumalo, kanye nabo bonke abomkhandlu weTheku nabanye komeya bakhona namhlanje la. The leadership of the governing party and all other political parties present here today, religious leaders and traditional leaders, and business leaders present here, fellow South Africans, Sanibonani, good day. Dumelang, Thobela, Molweni. We extend warm greetings to all South Africans and all freedom-loving people in our country on this 2016 Human Rights Day. Siyanibingelela nonke ngalolu suku olubaluleke kakhulu ezweni lakithi lokukhumbula nokugcizelela amalungelo abantu. Usuku lolu esikhumbula ngalo indlela ayisicindezelwe ngayo lamalungelo ngeminyaka yobandlululo kwaze kwabalulwa abantu abanye baboshwa kanti abanye bayohlala iminyaka eminingi ekudingisweni. Ngalolu suku sikhumbula indlela abantu abamnyama ababephethwe ngayo njengezinto nje, bengathathwa njengabantu abaphilayo nabanemizwa, abacabangayo, nabanelungelo lokuba ezweni labo. On this solemn occasion, we acknowledge all South Africans who suffered gross human rights violations during the period of apartheid colonialism, including murder, torture, or imprisonment. In particular, we remember the victims of the Sharpeville massacre, where 69 people were mercilessly killed and scores were injured when police opened fire on demonstrators who were protesting against the hated past laws in Sharpeville. On the same day, police also shot and killed 3 protesters in Kwalanga in Cape Town and injured many others. We will never forget incidents such as Sharpeville, which demonstrated the heroism of our people who stood up for their rights. We thank the United Nations for declaring the 21st of March as International Human Rights Day. This was a powerful recognition of the correctness and just nature of our struggle for liberation. Compatriots, this year we have chosen the theme, South Africans Unite Against Racism for Human Rights Day. We have done so due to the need to continue working together to eliminate racism and its manifestations in our country. Our mission since 1994 is to create a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous South Africa. This is the task of every South African. Earlier this year, our country experienced explosions of anger due to the racist utterances and writings which reminded South Africans that the vestiges of white supremacy and racism still exist in some sections of society. It became clear that there are people who still yearn for the past, where black people were treated like second-class citizens because of their color of skin. We know that the majority of South Africans that the minority of South Africans harbor racism and racial discrimination. That is why our theme correctly says that we are united against racism. The struggle against apartheid was in the main a struggle against racism, which is the notion that one group of people is better than others and is superior to others simply because of their color of their skin. Successive white governments entrenched racial oppression and segregation, which was enforced brutally by force. The apartheid regime systematically divided South Africans and caused untold damage to our country, which will take decades to reverse. Race determination, where people would live or work with bases and trains, in the buses and trains, they could board with schools their children would attend, and even which pavements they could walk in some cities such as Pretoria. The best land was taken away while black people were shuffled into reserves and had to seek permission to live and work in urban areas. This gave rise to the pass laws and the Sharpeville massacre. Racist South Africa was described eloquently by former ANC President Chief Albert Luthuli in his December 1961 Nobel Peace Prize lecture entitled Africa and Freedom. He said, and I quote, "Here, the cult of race superiority and of white supremacy is worshipped like God. Few white people escape corruption, and many of their children learn to believe that white men are unequivocally superior, efficient, clever, industrious, and capable, that black men are equally, unequivocally inferior, slothful, stupid, evil, and clumsy," unquote. President Nelson Mandela also described how white supremacy manifested itself in apartheid South Africa. In his famous statement from the dock during the Rivonia trial, he said, and I quote, "The lack of human dignity experienced by Africans is the direct result of the policy of white supremacy. White supremacy implies black inferiority. Legislation designed to preserve white supremacy entrenches this notion. Manual tasks in South Africa are invariably performed by Africans. When anything has to be carried or cleaned, the white man will look around for an African to do it for him. Whether the African is employed by him or not, because of this sort of attitude, whites tend to regard Africans as separate breed. They do not look upon them as people with families of their own. They do not realize that they have emotions, that they fall in love like white people do, that they want to be with their wives and children like white people want to be with theirs. They want to earn enough money to support their families properly, to feed and clothe them and send them to school, unquote. This is the past we need to be aware of, a past that was terrible, which we cannot repeat. Because if we don't know it, we could unwittingly move towards it. It's a past that was defeated and put behind us. Madiba, Luthuli, Tambo, Helen Joseph, Ahmad Kathrada, and many others dedicated their lives to fighting racism and racial discrimination in order to end the type of society painted by our two illustrious leaders. They fought for the society described in the Constitution of the Republic. Madiba signed the Constitution into law in December 1996 in Sharpeville. And this year, we mark 20 years of this historic act. The preamble of the Constitution calls upon all of us to heal the divisions of the past and to establish a society based on democratic values, social justice, and fundamental human rights. A lot has been done since 1994 to promote non-racialism, reconciliation, inclusion, and unity. In this regard, we would like to extend a special message to the black majority in our country. They were treated as lesser human beings. They were denied all the rights that human beings in modern civilized societies are entitled to, including equal citizenship in their own country and land. Despite all this, they extended a hand of friendship and agreed on the need to build a united, reconciled, and non-racial society. This was important for the transition to a new society and was an enormous contribution to building a new South Africa. Namhlanje sizwakalisa ukuyibonga indlu emnyama ngokuvuma kwayo ngo-1994 ukuthi ubuhlungu bencindezelo nenhlupheko konke lokho ikubeka eceleni ivume ukuxolela abamhlophe ukuze sakhe iningizimu entsha nekhululekileyo. Siyazi ukuthi lokhu kwakungelula neze futhi namanje kusenzima ngoba abaningi bathi isandla esibuyayo esiza nokubuyisana. Abayingcosana abamhlophe asibonakali lesandla esibuyayo esibuyisanayo. Kuba sengathi umsebenzi wabamnyama kuphela ukusebenzela ukubuyisana. Kanti umsebenzi wethu sonke thina base South Africa balelizwe elifana nothingo lwenkosazana. Udaba okumele ludingidwe lolu sibhekane nalo ngqo njengesizwe ngoba ukwazi ukuthi kube uhlangothi olulodwa kuphela olunye lona lungabonakali lwenza nto. Today we also salute white compatriots who did not allow their position of having been born into privilege to make them close their eyes to violations of human rights and human dignity and crimes against humanity. There are many white freedom fighters who joined the struggle for liberation and contributed to the attainment of freedom and democracy in our country. We must work harder to eliminate the view that reconciliation is a one-way process where the black majority extends a hand of friendship but with little reciprocation from their white compatriots. Compatriots, indeed, we have done a lot to build a non-racial society. However, the apartheid damage was too deep to be the business of overnight. There is still a long way to go before we can say we have successfully reversed the impact of institutionalized racism in our country or to remove prejudice amongst those who subscribed to the notion of white supremacy. We urge all South Africans, black and white, to become part of this journey to a new society. Government has since 1994 worked systematically to reverse the legacy of apartheid and racial discrimination. We wish to emphasize and reiterate our determination as government to put an end to racial discrimination in all its forms and wherever it occurs. We must remove vestiges of racism in the workplace, in the education system, the health sector, in the administration of justice and generally in access to government services and in the private sector. There is continuous provision of basic services such as water, housing and infrastructure, electricity, quality education and health care, and basically to ensure that black people live in dignity. The ending of economic marginalization is key to the reversal of racism and its manifestation in the economy. The economy is still primarily in the hands of the white minority in terms of control, ownership, and management. Transformative laws aimed at deracializing the economy or the workplace have been introduced by the democratic governments since 1994. These include employment equity laws and broad-based black economic empowerment. Examples of new transformation programs also include the targeted creation of black industrialists, which is aimed at opening up the manufacturing sector to the black community. The business community has responded warmly to this program. The land restitution and redistribution program is also one of the key programs aimed at reversing the legacy of the country's racist past. In memory of those who died in Sharpeville, Uitenhage, and Cape Town, and also in memory of millions who have suffered racial oppression and racism in our country, we say today that let us unite to build a South Africa that is free of racism and prejudice. To achieve this goal, we need to do a few things as South Africans. We must openly and conscientiously discuss and consciously discuss notions of white supremacy and how it manifests itself in society. When such views are held by people in positions of power, they undermine the nation's efforts to achieve an equal and non-racial society. People must be vigilant and point out instances of racial discrimination in the provision of services in both the private and public sectors, should this exist. Private companies, religious institutions, non-governmental organizations, and state institutions must run campaigns and awareness programs on the manifestations of racism so that we can eliminate denial and claims of ignorance about how this scourge manifests itself. It is of critical importance to end the denial and the tendency to downplay accusations of racism and undertake defensive stances. We should also be aware of the fact that some races use art as a form of expression. We should thus be alert to subtle and disguised racism perpetuated through the stereotyping of individuals or groups of people in the media through cartoons and satire. The acceptance of the problem will lead to unity in finding solutions. And solutions must come from all sectors and individuals and not government only. There is also a tendency to ridicule those who seek to expose racism or racial discrimination as a form of defense by those who refuse to acknowledge the existence of racialism or who are racist themselves and want the status quo to remain. Bakwethu sithi kuyacaca ukuthi ubandlululo lusekhona ezinhliziyweni zabathile. Lokhu kudinga ukubhekwa impela ngoba yikho okwenza ukuthi abantu banganikwa imisebenzi ephakeme ngoba kucatshangwa ukuthi abazi lutho ngoba nje bemnyama. Sithi ke kumele sibambisane sonke silwe nobandlululo nokucwasana ngebala emsebenzini, kwezemidlalo nezokungcebeleka, ezikoleni nakweziningi ezinye izindawo. There were calls earlier this year for government to introduce laws or institutionalize mechanisms to deal with hate speech and hate crimes. Government, through the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, has drafted a national action plan to combat racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerances. This plan emanates from the Durban Declaration and Program of Action, which was adopted at the Third World Conference Against Racism that was hosted by South Africa and was held here in Durban in 2001. The plan is designed to raise awareness of anti-racism, equality, and anti-discrimination issues among public officials, civil society, and the general public, mobilizing support from a wide range of people. This policy framework will encourage the collection of information regarding racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerances. It will help us ensure that the concerns of individuals and groups encountering racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerances are not brushed aside or underplayed, and that they are more effectively addressed by all of us. The Department of Justice Constitutional Development is tasked with coordinating the development and finalization of this plan. A National Action Plan Steering Committee, which comprises government departments, Chapter 9 institutions, international human rights agencies, faith-based organizations, as well as civil society organizations, has been established to enable wide consultations on the plan. Once final, the plan will be submitted to the UN Human Rights Commissioner for Human Rights. It will form the basis for the development of a comprehensive policy framework against the scourge of racism, racial discrimination, xenophobia, and related intolerances. To complete the National Action Plan, the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development is finalizing the prevention and combating of hate crimes and hate speech bill, which is expected to be tabled in Parliament by September this year. The law is intended to make hate crimes and hate speech a statutory offense. We urge all to participate in the shaping of this important legislation. We are aware of the fact that government cannot legislate against racist beliefs and prejudices. Solutions will require the consciousness and willingness of those who harbor such harmful beliefs to educate themselves about human rights and equality. They need to assist themselves to understand that those who look different from them are not inferior. It also requires that we educate our school children and the youth about the non-racial society we are building. Government has begun programs of promoting patriotism and the national identity already amongst our children. Symbols such as the national anthem, the national flag, and the preamble of the Constitution are being promoted in schools. Government, through the Department of Arts and Culture, is developing a non-racial heritage architecture in the country. A major new project, the Liberation Heritage Route, is also to be implemented and will feature sites of significance in all 9 provinces. Statues of our liberation heroes are being erected, while their graves and other important sites are being declared national heritage sites. We are pleased to announce here that government will build a statue of the late co-president of the United Democratic Front and one of the leading stalwarts of our liberation movement, Mr. Archie Gumede, in Durban. This will be a fitting tribute to a patriot who dedicated his life to the attainment of liberation in his country. Compatriot, the country experienced horrific attacks on foreign nationals in April last year in parts of Durban and parts of Johannesburg. The majority of South Africans spoke out strongly against the attacks. They reaffirmed our country's support of human rights and dignity for all. We hosted the inaugural Africa Month program in May last year and are planning for the second African Month celebration this year to promote peace and friendship amongst South Africans and fellow Africans. Xenophobia has no place in South Africa and will not be tolerated. Compatriots, when we speak of human rights, we include the rights of all, including compatriots with disabilities. The United Nations in 2011 declared 21st of March as the World Down Syndrome Day. We call on all South Africans to pledge solidarity with South Africans with Down syndrome and their families and accord them the respect and understanding they deserve. We wish all South Africans with Down syndrome well on this special day. Compatriots, we have set ourselves on a mission to build a united, non-racial, non-sexist, democratic and prosperous South Africa. We are building a South Africa in which nobody will be discriminated against because of the color of their skin. In the provision of services and opportunities by both the public and the private sector. As we proceed with this mission, we are guided by the words of our beloved former President Nelson Mandela, who said, and I quote, "No one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, or his background, or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart that its opposite than its opposite." Unquote. As South Africans, we say no to racism and racial discrimination. We say no to xenophobia. We say no to prejudice and intolerances. Compatriots, let us remember one thing. We are celebrating the human rights. We all want our rights to be respected. And it is important that for we as South Africans, we should respect the rights of others. Whatever we do, let us remember that the human rights belongs to all of us and they need to be respected. If we exercise our rights, Let us not interfere with the rights of others, so that our struggle, our actions as we fight for our rights must be respected, and means must be made to meet the rights we are fighting for. It does not make a good sense to fight for a right by undermining the right of others. This is what we should keep in mind at all the times as we perfect our struggle for our rights. Compatriots, this is a day we should always keep in mind in our calendar. For the rights is an important thing we all possess, and they need to be allowed to flourish, to be practiced, to be respected. Of course, rights go together with the responsibility. To respect the right of others is to exercise the responsibility as well. Let us build this important rainbow nation, a nation that has emerged from a history that we all don't like, that has come into a celebrated era as South Africa. Compatriots, I wish you all a meaningful human rights and a happy one. Enjoy the day. I thank you.